Welcome to Webster Speaks, dialogues on race, equity, and inclusion. I am your host, Vincent Flewellen, coming to you from the Media Commons in the School of Communications on the main campus of Webster University in St. Louis. On March 1st and 2nd, Webster University will proudly host its 7th annual Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Conference. This year's theme is Everyday Inclusion, right here, right now, highlighting how we can put intention into action in meaningful, practical ways. I sat down with a few of our conference guests to preview some of the important and timely issues we will explore. Today, we welcome Kofi Coleman, a panelist in the conference's segment called Challenging Racism in the Arts and Media. Kofi is the new president and CEO of the St. Louis Municipal Opera Theatre, commonly known as the Muni here in St. Louis. He is the president-elect of the Board of Directors for the National Alliance for Musical Theater and was named to the St. Louis Business Journal's 40 Under 40 in 2020. Welcome.
Thanks, Vincent. Thank you for that kind introduction.
Thanks for joining us today. So, Kofi, you were recently quoted as saying that the Muni is for everyone. Do you mind giving us a little perspective on that and what you hope to accomplish in your new role as president and CEO?
Sure. You know, that quote, you know, when you take the concept of diversity or the definition of everyone in its broadest definitions, right, that's reaching every corner of St. Louis, every corner of the community. That's what this place represents. You know, Municipal Theater Association of St. Louis. It's all of St. Louis. So my goal, one of my goals in this role is to make sure that we continue to make sure that there's reflection and representation of all parts of St. Louis. Like I said, the broadest definitions of everyone in diversity are represented not just on stage, but in the audience. We want to make sure that all of St. Louis feels like this is a home and a place for them to gather. I think that over time through history, that's been something that the theater has always continued to strive to do. And in my time here, I'm going to continue to evolve that process.
Good, thank you. So what is the state of access and inclusion in the performing arts, particularly the live stage?
You know, I think it's in a state of evolution, and I would say it's in the highest state of consciousness that I've seen in the relatively short 20 years that I've worked in this business. I think there's a recognition of a lack of inclusion and diversity in some areas, and there are some real efforts being made. Much like the rest of the country, I do see that there's a greater investment from people who are underrepresented and those that represent the majority together, trying to realize that there's a little bit of lack of equity there. So it's great to feel that energy right now, both on a local and national level. It's something that's certainly, like I said, it's in evolution, but the state of consciousness around it is energizing.
It's good to hear. In what area of the arts are people of color making inroads, and what improvements can we make right now in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion?
In the areas I think I see the most inroads right now is I see a lot of arts leaders of color. Obviously myself, and I have colleagues, like I said, locally and nationally, and I'm seeing a greater representation in those ranks. And it's always important to point out that that's not a result of a conscious effort to make these boardrooms and these decision-making rooms look more diverse. It's a conscious effort for people that are decision makers to widen their network, to widen their scope, to expand their Rolodex, because this isn't the lack of diversity that we've seen in some of these ranks is not a question about quality, it's a question of access. And so I think that as people that find themselves in decision-making positions widen that Rolodex and look beyond who they know they're comfortable with, you start to see more diversity in those positions, and we have an opportunity to also bring our networks in. You know, I think the other side of it is that there's a lot of opportunity associated with this business that's not about being on stage. I am neither talented nor brave enough to be on stage, but I have a job and I have a career, and there are hundreds of trades and disciplines that support what we do, specifically for us, musical theater. So as long as we create programs that bridge some of those access gaps, I think that we'll continue to see progress move in the right direction. But we have to be intentional about those steps.
Thank you. What do you hope that people will take away from attending your session at the conference?
Well, that's great. I hope, number one, it's informative. I look forward to a dialogue with my co-panelists because we represent different aspects of this discipline. The takeaway, I hope that they see that this bringing better or greater equity to what we do is a team effort. There's not, we are past, it's not a punitive thing, right? We're looking to acknowledge mistakes, we're looking to acknowledge shortcomings, and to move forward and figure out how we can do that together. I see no value in swinging a pendulum all the way back in the other direction in a way that feels punitive. I hope that what comes out is a forward moving and a forward thinking mindset to say, here, how can we join together those that look like us, those that don't? We're all invested in the same result. We're invested in a table, a decision-making table that looks, that's a better representative of the world around us, all those corners, and I hope that we come up with some great ideas of how to move in that direction.
Thank you. Thanks so very much for joining us, Kofi. We look forward to seeing you at the conference.
Looking forward to it.
We at Webster would like to thank our guests, our audience, and our sponsors for joining us. This broadcast is available on demand and on your YouTube channel. We will see you next time on Webster Speaks, Dialogues on Race, Equity, and Inclusion. And we look forward to seeing you in person or virtually at our DEI conference on March 1 and 2. Register at www.webster.edu/DEI Conference 2022. Registration is free and open to the public, but registration is also required. Again, thank you for joining us.